Okay, this is an interview of Albert Freitas on his 100th birthday. Where were you born, Dad?
Ripon,
In Ripon?
1923,
In 1923.
February 23rd.
Where were you born at? In a house or in the hospital?
My grandfather's house.
In your grandfather's house? On
Yep.
what road?
Jackstone Road.
And were you the firstborn or were you...
I was the third born, and my dad was my doctor.
Your dad was your doctor. He delivered
He
you.
delivered me.
And who was the oldest?
Joe,
And what year was he born?
1921.
And then who?
Helen was born 22.
And then?
Then I was born 23, and Elnor 24.
And then?
But after 19 years, it was Bernice.
Bernice. Okay. And what was your mom and dad's name?
My dad's name is Joe, and my mother was Adeline.
And what years were they born?
My mother was born in 1998, and my dad 1894. My dad 1894.
1894. And where did you go to school at?
Golden West School.
What was your teacher's name?
Mrs. Guyman.
Did you speak English?
I did.
Did your brothers and sisters speak English?
Joe didn't. Joe spoke Portuguese.
Okay, and
He had to get Adeline Costa or Virginia Costa.
okay. Did you walk to school?
Mostly, yeah, most of the time.
How else did you?
About 3/4 of a mile.
How else did you get to school?
What?
How else did you get to school?
If it's raining day or something like that, my dad took us.
How did he take you?
In the old Model T Ford.
In a Model T Ford. After school, did you have chores? Or
Many
before
times.
school?
When I came from school, I had to clean the barns with a wheelbarrow, and I had to wash the buckets. My dad was working during the day, he didn't have time.
What about before school?
What's that?
Before school, did you have any chores?
No, not before school,
Just after school?
after school.
And then,
I started milking cows, I was about 7 years, about 7.
how many cows?
Started with 1, then started with 3, and kept climbing the ladder.
And did you go to high school?
1 year,
1 year? What high school?
Mentic High.
Did you have any girlfriends in high school?
No, I was too young. No,
You
I
were
had
too-
to go.
No girlfriends? Did you have any friends you went to school with?
Oh, yeah.
Who? Who'd you go to school with?
With my Elnor and Helen,
Mm-hmm.
and the neighbor girl, I think her name was not Elizabeth, Deanie.
Mm-hmm.
Go to school together.
You went to, what about Ray Costa? Did you go to school with him?
No, Ray Costa didn't go to high school.
Oh, he didn't.
No.
Okay. And then did you help Grandpa on the ranch in the Blacklands?
All the time.
All the time? What did you do?
Plowed ground, plant seed, cover the seed, and then after it was harvester, my dad and I picked them up by sack. My dad grabbed one end of the sack, I grabbed the other, we threw it in the truck. I took it to Manteca warehouse.
Don said you had a cedar that you wore around your neck with 5 guys and they'd walk across the field and spread the seed?
Yeah, clover. We
Clover.
planted clover and alfalfa.
What about the cows? Did you walk them? Did you take them out there?
Take the cows to pasture, yeah, down the road.
Which road?
We'd go down Union and you catch French Camp at the 99 to the Blackland.
You took them on 99 freeway to the Blackland?
99 on the highway, yeah. My dad always got a cop. While we were walking the cows down the road, the cop was always with us.
How many cows?
Oh, not too many. My dad at that time was milking, I don't know, 20 cows, I guess.
And then you had to bring them back every night?
No, they stayed there.
Oh, they stayed out
They
there.
stayed there. They stayed there for 5-6 weeks. Then we'd drive them back home again.
And what did you have a pickup to put the grain on? The sacks? What would you do with the sacks of grain?
We put it on what do you call it? Broadcast.
Oh, a broadcast.
I had a broadcast. The broadcast takes about 3 sacks. And then I'd be driving the tractor, and my dad was putting us, because the field was long, and my dad was putting the seed in the broadcast, and I was driving the tractor.
Oh, okay.
And then when we get to the end, my dad just take steps, and he'd hang a sack on the fence, and then I'd go to that line there, and then I'd go all the way back to the other end.
To make a straight line?
Make a straight line with a straight line.
What else did you grow besides grain?
Well, my dad had alfalfa there.
Did you have tomatoes or anything else?
Well, my dad used to rent the ground for tomatoes.
Oh, okay. And did you haul them into market? What'd you do with them?
The tomatoes?
Yeah.
Well, my dad never did put tomatoes, just always the grain.
Not grapes either?
Grapes?
Grapes?
No grapes.
No grapes?
No.
How'd you get across the creek? Little Johnny Creek?
The cows was alongside of the road. The cows would get inside the creek and climb up the other end and keep going.
Did you go with the truck? Did you cross Johnny Creek with the truck?
With the cows?
With the truck. Did you cross Johnny Creek with the truck?
On the 99 highway you're talking about?
Uh-huh. No? You didn't go down in the creek and then go back up with the truck before the bridge was there?
We'd take the tractor to the other side of the creek because we had 6 acres. 6 acres inside the creek. Yeah, we used to go with
the truck?
With the truck if the water was low.
Uh-huh.
If the water wasn't very high.
If it was high, then you
Yeah,
couldn't
my
cross
dad
it.
had put rocks in the creek. We used to go in those rocks.
Oh, you used to go on the rocks.
My dad used to put those.
And when did you buy your ranch out on Union Road?
1951.
And how much did you pay for it?
13,900. I think it was 900 or 700. A little over 13,000.
Mm-hmm. And were you working then, or you were still working with Grandpa?
I was with my dad.
Mm-hmm. When did you get the job at the district?
I started there in 1962.
In 62. And when you got your ranch, did you have cows? Your ranch on Union, did you have cows?
I had cows, yeah.
How many cows?
I don't know. About 25, I guess, right along in there.
And were you married then, or you hadn't met Mom yet?
No, I met Edna the following year.
Okay.
I bought the ranch 51, And I got married in 52.
Whoa. Okay, and tell me how you met her.
She's not here.
How I met Edna? I seen Edna before the dance started. It was the first and ripping. And before, when they started the music, I seen Edna walk in. So I said, oh, she was pretty nice. So I asked this guy, I said, who's that girl? He told me it was Edna Vieira. And I told this guy, I'm going to dance with her tonight. Okay, when they started playing music, then they played the second music, I looked for Edna, I couldn't see her, I didn't see her no more. So I forgot about it. And, I think it was about the following year, 2 years later, I seen her again, fresh and ripping. I seen her walk in. I said, she's the one for me. I did say that. I said, she's the one. So when they started playing music, I danced with her all night. I didn't let her go.
You didn't let anybody else dance with her?
I didn't, no.
No.
I danced with Gloria and Rosie, each one. I don't know if she danced at that time or not. I don't know.
But then you danced with her.
I danced with her most of the night. So into the dance, I asked her if there was a dance in Tracy the following Saturday. I told her if I could pick her up at home. She said no. But she says, I'll be there. I says, okay. So come that Saturday night, I danced with her all night. And at the festa and the dance in Tracy, I told her, I says, hey, there's a dance next Saturday in Modesto. Can I pick you up? She says, no. She says, I'll be there. I said, okay. That happened, I don't know how many times. And then I finally got to go to her house.
You did? She was being cautious. Okay, and then how long did you date?
About a year. We went about a year together.
And then what happened?
We got married.
Did you get engaged?
I got engaged. He gave me the ring.
Where were you when you got engaged?
I gave her the ring. The folks had a Christmas gathering on a Sunday, and I was there, and then I gave her the ring.
At her, was she surprised?
It was Christmas Eve.
Was she surprised?
Oh, she knew it.
Oh, she knew.
Yeah, 'cause I asked her to marry me,
Oh, okay.
and she said she would.
That was her Christmas present then.
That was her Christmas present when I got engaged.
Where'd you get it at? Where'd you get the ring at?
In Stockton.
In Stockton? Oh, that was nice. And then when did you get married?
We got married the following May.
What date?
25th of May, 51. Yeah, 51. We got engaged 51 and got married in 52.
And what church?
St. Anthony's. No, St. Patrick in Escalon.
St. Patrick's in Escalon.
Yeah.
Okay, and were there a lot of people at your wedding?
Quite a few, yeah.
Quite a few. Yeah. And did they stay all day, or did people have to leave and come? Because it was an all-day wedding, right?
It was all day. Yeah, we had the wedding, then they had the reception, and then at night, then it was a dance.
Did you have to go home to milk cows?
I believe so. I know I didn't milk, but I imagine, yeah.
People left to go to milk cows?
But I didn't.
But you didn't, you got to stay at your wedding. Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
And then, where did you go on your honeymoon?
Oh, we went to along the coast. Took I-5, I think it was 5. We went to Oregon. Went to Medford, California. And then we went quite a ways in Oregon. We turned around and came back home.
What kind of car did you have?
1950 Mercury. Brand new.
Oh, it was brand new.
Yeah, I bought it 1950, yeah.
And then you came home, and then where did you live?
Then I went to I lived with my folks there about a month, and then we moved to our house.
How about 6 months?
Huh?
Mom said, how about 6 months?
No.
It wasn't one.
And then, so then you moved into your own house on the ranch.
On the ranch.
Oh, that was nice.
1-bedroom home.
1-bedroom home. And then, when did you have your first child?
The child came March 5th.
March 5th, the next year.
Next year, yeah.
And that was
53.
and that was Don,
That
right?
was done.
And he has your middle name, right? Your middle name
Yeah,
is
my
William,
middle
and
name.
he's got your middle name too. Okay, and then who was born?
Don was born, and 2 years later was Diane.
Mm-hmm.
3 years later it was Denise.
Then it was Denise. And you still lived in the 1-bedroom house?
Still 1-bedroom home.
Where did all those kids sleep?
Oh, all 1 bedroom, big
You-
bedroom.
You were all in one room.
That room was about the size of ours. The bedroom, I think it was 20 by 20.
And did you did you have a dairy then
I'm at my dad's place at the ranch, yeah.
but what was on your property?
That was all in pasture.
It was pasture,
All
and you'd have cows out there.
Had cows out there.
Grandpa's
We pastured the cows along the road to go over there to eat clover. And then at night time I'd bring them back in. Then I'd milk them, and that's the way it was.
Don said something about a horse barn. Did you help build a horse barn at your dad's?
My dad built a horse barn.
Did you help?
Oh yeah.
And he said something. How did you put the roof on it? It was so high. How did you put the roof on it?
Well, had the frame.
Did you have a rope? Did you tie yourselves with a rope or
At
something
times, yeah.
to go up on the roof?
On the roof, yeah.
Okay, and then after the kids were a little bit older, did you stay? How long did you stay in that little house?
I don't know what year.
You built a new house, right?
I built the house.
Denise was 3.
Huh?
Denise was 3 when we moved over.
Denise was 3 when you moved to the new house. You built the new house,
Probably. Yeah, right along in there.
okay? And then I want you to tell me the story about. You always tell the story about when Grandpa went to get his coat and the coat wasn't there.
Oh,
Tell us that story.
okay. My dad was working for George Azevedo, milking cows and working out in the ranch. And that one night, my dad got through milking. He went going towards to go home. He was going towards the car. My dad got halfway. My dad heard a big bang, and so my dad stopped. He said, "What was that noise?" So then my dad went again towards the barn to get the coat. He heard the second big bang, so he stopped. It happened again the third time. My dad turned around and went back to the car. Then he came home. And when he got home, he told my mother about it. And my dad told my mother, "Well, mark that in the calendar." She says, my dad says, "I bet my father died on the old country." So my mother wrote it in the calendar. And I think about 2 days later, they got the telegram that his father did die. And so my dad happened to go see his brother there in Gridley. My dad told his brothers what had happened. He said that happened to him too. Happened the same thing. And my Uncle Manuel thought that his father had died. And so that's how they got to know that the father died.
But didn't he go to get a coat and the coat
He
wasn't?
went to the barn, yeah, to get the coat. So my dad was going home. He didn't have no coat. He went towards the barn to get the coat. But my dad didn't go to the barn. He heard that noise. He didn't want to go to the barn.
Oh, then he didn't.
So he came home on the Model T Ford without the coat. It was when it was wintertime.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about when the doctor thinks you hurt your kidney. What happened? Were you horsing around in a car?
Yeah, Hal and us 4 kids were in the back seat of the car. And Hal and I got into an argument. And somehow or another, that door had like a little trigger. You push that trigger, well, the door would open. Well, accidentally, I must have hit the trigger, I guess, because we were fighting, and I fell down the road. And
You were on the road?
huh?
You were on the road?
Yeah, I
Or
fell
in the
road.
driveway?
No, in the road, the pavement
Oh.
road. And I seemed to be all right, so my dad and my mother didn't take me to the doctor or nothing. But then later on, I lost my kidney, and the doctor said it could have been from that fall.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And tell me about how you were feeling when you lost your kidney. How long had you been sick? A while?
oh yeah, I was sick for quite a while, belching, and my dad kept telling me to go see a doctor. And I told my dad, no, I feel good. I don't feel bad. My dad said, well, that's not, that. My dad said, that don't sound good. Okay, I kept going and going for a long time. That way, belching. And my dad told me many times, well, see a doctor. And when I got pretty sick, I made up my mind I wouldn't see the doctor. And so I didn't know what doctor to go to. Said Helen recommend her doctor. So I went and seen Helen's doctor. And then he told me that he wanted to take x-rays, see what it was. So we took x-rays, and the doctor said that I had a large mess inside of me. He says, the doctor says, I don't want your case. Okay. And so my dad said, well, what doctor are we going to go? And so the doctor recommended Dr. Roach. So I went and see Dr. Roach. Yeah, Dr. Roach, the one that operated on me. Yeah, but I did well after I was operated on. I did okay.
And there's another story about Kathleen getting run over with the tractor.
Betty.
Oh, Betty. Tell me that story.
Well, Helen went to town to fix her hair. So Helen left Betty at my mother's place, my dad's place. And so my dad and I was putting hay in the haystack. And said my dad heard a baby cry. My dad said, hey, what's that? I heard a baby cry. So I stopped the tractor, and I looked, there was Betty down the ground, laying on the ground right next to the wheel of the tractor. And so my folks rushed and took her in, and then she had a broken arm.
She got under the tractor, huh?
But, yeah.
That was crazy. Okay, tell me a story. You have one more story about the kids were pumping water to fill the water trough. Were you guys pumping water to fill the water trough?
Yeah.
And somebody fell in?
I did.
You did? Tell me the story.
My dad and my mother were with the pasture milking cows. And my dad and my mother was milking cows. And Joe, Helen, and I and Alnos had a pump, hand pump, pumping water to the trough for the cows to drink. And I was standing on top of the trough on the side. And somewhere or another, I don't know, I slipped and I fell in. I was all wet. And so my mother happened to have a coat or something. She wrapped me in a coat until they got through milking cows. Then I went home and then changed clothes.
You were horsing around, huh?
I don't know what I was doing.
It sounded like you had a good life. Did you?
I did.
You did have a good life, huh?
I did.
Yeah, both places. Both at home, and then when you met Edna and got married, you had a good life with her, too.
I did.
Okay. Do you have any other stories you want to tell that people would like to listen to? Because your stories are great.
You think so?
Yeah, I do think so.
No, then I lived in the house, I think, 8-9 years until I built one, and then we lived there.
Who was your best man when you got married?
George Perry
From Woodland?
from Woodland.
Yeah, and what?
When he ordered a cake, he told me what bakery to go, and I said, we go to Snow White Bakery. Went to Snow White Bakery, he ordered a cake, the same size the head, that card
Table.
Table?
and he said he wanted the first layer, that one, and he wanted, I think it was 5 or 6 layers on top, and the top one was fruit cake.
The top one was fruit cake.
Fruit cake, so that's for a year later. And,
That's a big cake.
Yeah, big cake.
And what's your favorite thing to do in pastime? What do you like to do?
Well, play cards. In younger days, Ed and I to go to dancing all the festas.
You like to dance at all the festas,
I did.
and you like to play cards. What card games do you play?
Pedro and
You just learned.
what's the name of the cards? Sueca.
Sueca. Now you play Sueca.
Yeah, I play Sueca now.
Anything else you want to tell us?
Happily married.
You're happily married, and you lived 100 years.
100 years.
Okay, what did you want to say about your dad?
Also about my dad. My dad took me to the hospital before I had my operation. I had to be there. I had to stay there at night before my operation. My dad took me there to the hospital, Denver Hospital. And then after my dad, he came home to milk the cows. But he was there every night. Come to the hospital and see me every night. He had to milk the cows at night and go over there to the hospital.
Did Grandma go too?
My mother, she went most, I think it was 1 or 2 days she couldn't make it, she didn't go. But my mother did go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to say about my dad. I mean,
Did you go to Colorado with them when they went to see Uncle Joe?
No, it was just my dad, my mother, and Bernice.
And you stayed home and milked the cows?
I stayed home, me and, who was it?
Rodriguez?
Was it George?
Rodriguez?
I think, was it George Perry? Norman Rose.
Norman Rose milked the cows?
Yeah, he stayed over. When they went to Colorado, he stayed home there with me. Milked the cows. And
Did you sleep in the house, or where was your bedroom?
up in the old tank house.
Who'd you sleep with?
My brother Joe.
Tell me the story about sleeping with him. What'd you get? What'd you catch?
You're not going to put that in there, are you?
Yeah, what happened?
That during the night, I woke up. Somebody's real sleeping close, put her arms around me, holding me tight. I happened to wake up, and I felt those whiskers in my face. What the heck? I said, get over there, get out, turn around.
Who was it?
My brother Joe.
It was Uncle Joe. He was trying to snuggle with you.
Yeah, I did. He was in love with me.
Yeah, he was. And do you remember what room of the house you were born in on Jacktone? What room of the house were you born in on
My
Jacktone?
grandfather's house.
Was there?
It was three bedrooms. I slept in one of them.
And where were you born? Which room? Do you remember?
Well, it wasn't the master. It was the other one. It was one of the bedrooms.
Where you were born?
That's the room I was born. Yeah.
And you weren't born the regular way. You weren't born head first, were you?
Head first, yeah.
No, you weren't born head
The
first.
head, my foot.
Feet first.
My feet, yeah.
You were breech, and you were still born at home, huh?
I was kicking with my feet coming out.
You were kicking with your feet coming out, and you're still kicking. Look at you. So, okay, do you have any other stories you want to tell?
No, not that I remember right now.
Okay, well, if you remember any, I'll get back. Okay, this is Edna Mae Freitas, Vieira Freitas, and we're celebrating her 93rd birthday. So where were you born, Mom? Where were you born?
Where was I born?
Mm-hmm.
I was born at my family home. It's on North Ripon Road
Mm-hmm. What date?
on March the 27th, 1930. Born at the house there.
Did you have a doctor? Did Grandma have a doctor, or did your dad deliver you?
Dr. Stewart used to be in Ripon.
Mhm.
He's the one that came out, and so I was told, and delivered me. And my mother was so excited because I was the only girl. She'd had 4 boys, and I was the only girl.
Yep.
She was so excited.
I remember my mom telling a story that your mom ran and got my grandma to come and see the baby girl because she was so excited.
Yeah.
And that was you. So what was your mom and dad's name?
My mom was Sophie. My dad was Manuel.
Okay. And how many brothers do you have?
I had 4 brothers. I was the only girl. There was two boys, and then I come along, and then there was 2 more boys after that. So it was a total of 5.
So who was the oldest?
Ernie was the oldest. Then it was Richard.
Do you remember what year Ernie was born?
Oh God.
1926 or 27.
Okay.
Your folks got married in 1926.
They got married in
And
1920.
they got
right,
pregnant with
right.
Ernie.
Ernie was, I think, 1927.
Okay, and then who?
And then Richie, probably 28.
About 28.
Okay, and then
And
who?
then I came along
In
at
30.
1930.
And then who?
And then Willie, I know we were all close.
And then
I
Uncle
know.
Ray was the baby.
And he was born in 1938, I know that.
He was born in 38.
He was born in 38.
Okay.
He was the baby.
And where did you go to school?
Went to Atlanta Grammar School down on Fridge Camp Road.
Do you remember your teacher's name?
Well, was Mrs.
Miss Hall.
Hall was the principal, and she taught the upper grades. So when I got to the upper grades, then I had her as a teacher. But otherwise, there was another teacher for the lower classes. Each teacher had 4 grades in one room, so only a 2-room school. Mrs. Bryant. Her name was Mrs. Bryant. The lower class teacher was Mrs. Bryant.
Did you walk to school?
Well, at first my mother used to take us, and then we got bicycles, and we went on the bicycles. It's about a good 3-mile trip to school.
Oh, that.
And rain or shine, frost, whatever, we were pedaling down the road.
Down French Camp? French Camp Road?
French Camp Road, went down North Ripon Road to catch French Camp Road.
Mm-hmm. Did you have chores before school or after school?
Well, I always had chores because I worked in the kitchen with my mom and my grandma. As I helped cook. There was a lot of mouths to feed, so I always did dishes or peeled potatoes or something like that, set the table. And
Did you have workers that worked on the ranch and that's who you cooked for, or was it for your family?
it was for for our family only. Our family and my great uncle lived with us also 6 months out of the year.
What was his name?
Uncle Joe Silvera.
Did you I forgot what I was going to ask you. How many bedrooms were in the house?
And that first house was 2 bedrooms.
And then you moved to a different house?
Then we moved when my dad got the other ranch on Wagner Road. Then there was 3 bedrooms, and the house was a big house, had a dining room and a living room, and the dining room was converted into a bedroom for the 4 boys.
Was it a dairy?
Was a dairy, and then he had also did farming, grew watermelons and cantaloupe and packing shed and honeydews, and he had a form that made the crates to put the fruit in, that we would pack the fruit in there, and then the boys, either Ernie or Richie, would take turns driving the truck to the market in Hayward, to the market for the fruits, and
Did you go with him?
I would go with him to help him especially signal. The trucks would signal us to pass or whatever, and then we had to signal them, pull the light off and on that they could get back in the lane again.
Did you shift?
No, I didn't shift.
You just did the lights?
I
You
did
worked
the lights.
lights?
Took care of the lights.
You were the lights person. And did you have, what happened one year when you had aphids on the crop?
Oh, we'd go up in the mountains, up above San Andreas, back up in through there, and out in those fields, they had rocks, big rocks here and there, and they were full of ladybugs. We stick the ladybugs in gunny sacks and bring them home and put them on our vegetables that my dad was growing, cantaloupe or whatever, tomatoes or whatever was out there, and the ladybugs would eat the bugs on them.
You didn't fill up the gunny sack though, did you?
Yeah, we did. We filled up the gunny sack.
That's a lot of ladybugs.
I know it's a lot of ladybugs. It was fun.
It took all day to catch those. It must have taken all day.
Yeah, and then also when my dad had tomatoes later, well, we were still young though. We were in the first, second grade. Willie and I, when we got home from school, we had each one of us had to get a bucket and go out in the field and pull those little tomato worms off of the plants and put them in the bucket. And my dad had chickens, and give them to the chickens to eat, and they would go crazy, running around, and they would fight over the worms.
And that was when you were little?
Well, yeah, like in the first grade, second grade.
Mm-hmm. And then where did you go to high school at?
Well, I went to Ripon High School. We were out there. The bus would come by and pick us up and take us to school, and then bring us home at the end of the day.
And did you graduate from high school there?
I graduated from Ripon High in 1948.
Did you have any friends, girlfriends, or boyfriends?
I had a lot of boyfriends and girlfriends from the school, but they stayed there when I left.
When you left, they stayed there. And then what did you do after you graduated from high school?
Stayed home and cooked and cleaned and polished shoes for my brothers and put buttons on their shirts and mend their socks. They'd make holes in their socks and I'd mend their socks.
You got good practice.
Yes, I did.
And then how did you meet your sweetheart over here?
My sweetheart.
How did you meet your sweetheart?
Well, I don't know. This guy come around, wanted to dance. I asked. I love to dance. I would dance. Then he'd drop me off and he'd take off. I'd try to find somebody else. The person he'd come back again. And then after that, he forgot to leave.
He stayed. And then tell us about the when he would ask if he could come and pick you up.
Yeah, he kept asking me, I'm gonna go, there's a dance in such and such place, town here, Turlock, Modesto, or Tracy. And he said, I'll come by and we'll go over there. I says, no, you can't come by and pick me up, but I'll be there. I kept telling him that all the time, till finally the dances were all through. Then he says, see, there's a movie, we're gonna go to a movie. You wanna go to a movie? Yeah, I'll go to a movie.
So then how long did you date?
We didn't date that long.
You know what his father said?
No, what did he say?
I was the biggest robber that ever entered their ranch.
You were the robber that entered his ranch.
I stole Edna from their family.
Because you stole Edna.
I was the biggest thief. I was the biggest thief that walked into that ranch. Put that in there.
It's in there.
I met him at the celebration in Ripon. That was in May, and the following May we got married.
A year. And how did he propose to you?
He didn't really propose.
I did.
You didn't.
I did too.
No, you just had the ring. Here's the ring. I said, put it on your finger. I said, no, put it under the Christmas tree because it was Christmas. Put it under the Christmas tree. And then there you could put the ring on my finger with everybody looking, my family looking.
Were you scared?
First kiss I got was from Edna's grandmother. I think it was.
Not even from Mom?
That day.
You got a kiss from Grandma before you got a kiss from...
Yeah, when I gave her the ring that Christmas night, yeah, her grandmother came to me and she kissed. She liked me.
She did like you. What's not to like? And then when did you get married?
Well, we got married out there where we lived in Escalon there, on the St. Patrick's Church.
What year?
On
51.
On Highway 120, 52. We got married in
52, yeah, we got
1952
page 51.
in the St. Patrick's
We got
Church
page 51.
on one highway, Yosemite 120 and Carrollton Road.
Okay, and then where'd you go on your honeymoon?
Oh, we just drove here and drove there.
In a brand new car,
Yeah, right, yeah.
and you went to Oregon.
Yeah, we went to Oregon. First we went by his cousins first.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the name of the town
Shall,
now.
Eureka,
Wairika.
Wairika.
They lived in Wairika, yeah. We went up,
That man was so happy to see me. I didn't know the man, but I knew my dad had relatives up there. And we stood in that town that night. So that morning after breakfast, I just happened to look in the telephone book, and I tried to find his name, and I found it. Had the address and everything. So I went out there and knocked at the door. I told him who I was. Honest to God, he was happy. You gotta see my sisters. I got 2 sisters. We're gonna drive the car, we're gonna go there and see them. That man, honestly, was happy.
Mm-hmm.
And but didn't take long. He come to there, my dad's house, to visit my dad.
Oh, nice.
Came to visit my dad.
And you were gone a week,
yeah, a week.
and then you came home, and where did you live?
Well, first we lived with his folks. Our house was occupied by his brother and his family.
Okay. And then you lived there, and then you moved to your house.
Yeah, see, Joe had moved that house. The house wasn't ready.
He didn't move it yet then.
Well, they hadn't moved the house. The house wasn't ready. And so we had no choice. We had to live with my folks.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe was living in my house, free. And so when Joe moved up, we had the house ready, and then we moved into our house. Took us months, if not more,
Oh,
maybe a couple of months.
And then,
more like 6 months.
so you lived on your ranch on Union Road,
Yeah.
and then how long before you had a baby?
Well, a year.
A year
Yeah,
later?
That happens quickly, you know.
It
Yeah.
does happen quickly. And your first one was Don, born in 50.
Don was born in 53.
How'd you pick his name?
How did I pick his name?
Yeah.
I don't know, Donald.
You like the word name, anybody else you knew had that name?
No, I'm not. that I
No,
can
we didn't
recall,
know
no.
who to pick. We just
And you picked William,
William, yeah, his middle name.
His
I
middle
gave him
name.
his middle name, yeah.
and then 2 years later,
2 years later, here comes Diane.
mm-hmm.
I had Diane at St. Joseph's Hospital in Stockton.
Where was Don born?
Same hospital.
St.
It's
Joseph's.
You know,
St.
when
Joseph's.
Diane was a baby in the hospital, this nurse was taking care of Diane. She thought Diane was such a pretty girl. She had to take Diane to all the bedrooms with the mother pregnant to show Diane. She said, oh, she's pretty, she's beautiful, pretty.
Mhm.
She took to all remember that?
Yes, I do.
Did you have tough pregnancies?
Do I?
Were your pregnancies hard?
Yeah. Don's was easy, but the girls, they
And-
were hard, yeah.
And then you had Denise 3 years later,
Yeah. Well,
and where was she born?
she was born in 1958.
Where?
Same hospital.
St. Joseph's Hospital in
Oh,
Stockton.
yeah.
All 3 were born there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you were still living in the 1-bedroom house?
Yes.
They had bunk beds?
Yeah. 1-bedroom house.
Bunk beds, the 2 older ones. Denise was in the crib.
We had cribs there for a while for both of them. Denise, for Diane, and for Dawn. Then when Denise come along, then we got the bunk beds, and then we had the 1 crib, all in 1 room, 1 big room.
And then did you help on the dairy? Did you
Help on the what?
on the dairy? Did you help on the dairy?
Yeah, during the hay season, things like that.
Tell me about when you drove the old 36 truck.
Yeah, the old 36 Dodge. It's a Ford Chevy, yeah. It was a Chevy, yeah. Well, Dad Albert had hay. He had made hay for the dairy. They were out the cows, so they were out it was in the field. They had baled it out in the field. It was in rows. So he started up the Model A, Model
Chevy.
Chevy, yeah.
36 Chevy. She drive with the kids
I
in
would
the
drive,
cab,
yeah, drive with the kids.
and I was top of the truck. I took with hay loader. And
Yeah, with the 3 kids. I had the 3 kids all standing on the seat alongside of me. And I was driving. Chug, chug, chug.
Oh boy, that must have been.
I think Donnie ought to remember that.
I think he does.
I think he remembers that.
And
He's-
go ahead.
He should remember. He
He
was
probably
old
does
enough.
remember.
Yeah.
He probably does remember it. Okay, and then the kids went to school, and then what did you do when the kids were all in school? Did you go back to work?
It was my first job. I hadn't worked out at all before.
Oh, that was your first job.
My
Okay.
first job, yeah. I finally I went to work for a doctor in Manteca, Dr. Yee.
How long did you work for him?
Worked there 18 years for there. And
What did you do?
well, I took care of the front office part. Shirley will do, because I took Shirley retired from there, and she went back to school to be an RN, and I took her position. Was answering phones and checking in patients and pulling charts and filing charts and
Take money to the bank every night.
yeah, I did. I had
Every
to
night
tally
you
the money and take it to the bank. Yeah.
And so now, what's your favorite thing to do now?
Sleep.
She doesn't sleep much, I don't think. He's the one that sleeps, huh? So you like to play cards?
Yeah,
Go to
I like to
fish
play
then?
cards. I like to read, but I don't really get much chance to read.
And what about the festas and stuff? Do you like to go to the festas?
Oh, I love to dance. Yeah.
You like to dance?
I love to dance. But now that's all come just about to an end, I think.
Oh, you're still moving around good. You can still shake a leg once in a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Now this leg, I broke this leg.
Yes.
Now it hurts me.
Yeah, that's what happens. It's arthritis gets in there.
That's what Dr. Wolf said. She said that as you get older, he said that leg is going to bother you. And sure enough.
And how'd you break your leg?
How did I break my leg? That's a long story. We had gone on a trip to the Azores, and Albert wanted to see his grandfather's property over there in Punta Negra. And there was a lot of grass, and I couldn't walk through the grass. They were walking there. They were going to go down the hill to where the house was. And I says, I'm going to go back to the car. You guys go do your thing. I'm going to go back to the car. I started to walk back to the car. And the grass was tall. I was walking through that grass. All of a sudden, my foot went into a hole. And I was going forward, and my foot stayed back there. And I could feel it run up, the pain run up the back of my leg. Then I couldn't get up, and then we had met a friend there that knew the Freitas's. He helped me get up, helped me walk to the car. Then I told Diane was with us and Mike, and I says, we have to go to a pharmacy to get crutches. I said, I can't walk without crutches. Then I tried to think, now what is crutches in Portuguese? I was trying to think, what do you call crutches in Portuguese? All of a sudden, amuletas. So I told Diane, go to the pharmacy and tell them you need muletas. So she did. Then she come back with the crutches for me, where I could at least walk around there while we were there on the island for a couple of weeks.
You got hurt at the beginning of the vacation?
Right at the beginning. We just got there to the peak there for a couple of days. It was 2 days, and I broke my leg.
I thought it was more to the end.
No. Right at the beginning.
How long was your country?
2 weeks. Wasn't it 2 weeks?
No. You broke your leg, I think, about 3 days before you came home.
No.
Oh, I think so.
I don't know. I walked on it.
Okay, good.
And I remember you always talking about your grandma and your mom and you helping them, like with peaches and...
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I worked with them in the house. At home, they helped fix the meals.
Did your grandma live with you?
My grandma lived with us because my mother was her only child, and my grandfather had passed away. So she lived with us. She helped raise us as kids.
What was her name?
Maria.
Maria. What was
Her married name, she was a Silvera. She married a Silvera. Yeah.
And how long did she live with you?
Until she passed away. I already forgot what year she passed away, but she was 84 years old when she passed away.
Died the day I started the district, 62.
She was 84.
She was 84, 85. One grandmother was 84, and the other grandmother was 85.
She was 84.
It was the day you started at the San Joaquin Irrigation District?
Yeah, I started to work at the district, and I asked the guy that I had to go to fuel next day. He said, well, you just started. Taking a day off already? Well, my wife's grandmother, you know.
Was that Joaquin?
Joaquin. He said more like in a joke, but
Well, it's true. We should
That's
work
true.
one day, then you want the next day off.
How long did you work at the district?
I just said it the other day. What was it? Yeah.
Do you remember, Mom, how long you worked at the district?
It was 18 years.
18 years? That sounds
18.
about right.
13, 14, right along in there.
Do you have any other stories you want to tell? No? You had a good life. You've been married how many years?
Well, how many years have we been married? I don't even know.
You're going on 71 in May.
Married at 50.
70, 71 years.
Married at 53, so this is 93.
Well, we had a 70th party for you in May last year. So it'll be 71 this May.
Yeah.
And
It'd
then
be 71.
And then you sold the property on Union Road and you moved south of Manteca. What year was that?
Well, the
2002 when we moved in here, I think. 2002.
Mm-hmm. And so now you live on Veritas and Tinnon on the corner.
Veritas and Tinnon, right off of Union Road. We used to live on Union Road. And this guy come by and says, we want your place to put a retirement center there. Age restricted. I told him I wasn't ready to move. I says, we've been here 40 years already. I don't feel like moving. So he left us alone for a little while. He got everybody else bought out. Then he come back. Says, well, you're the last one.
We weren't really the last ones. Getting one of the last ones.
One of the last
We
ones
weren't-
to
we weren't
sell.
the last one.
The rest, they were still there, but they were the last ones to sell the place.
Now it's Del Webb.
Yeah, it's a Del Webb. I don't know what else they call it.
Look at Tells. This won't be. The Tells, they were so stubborn. They didn't want to sell it right. They wanted more money, more money. And the guy said, no, I'm not getting more. So they put a wall there. So their ground's still empty.
Mm-hmm.
They
That's
lost,
what happens.
They lost 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. The ground's there stopped. Got a big wall right there.
Yeah.
Between,
That's what happens. So do you have any other stories you want to tell?
No, not really.
You can't think of any. Can you think of any more, Dad, you want to tell? Well, you did some good stories. That was fun.
Yeah, well,
Okay, well, happy birthday, you two. You want to say something, Mom?
yeah. I love to dance, and then he started pestering me about coming and pick me up, and I said, no, I want to make sure. You know what I mean?
Right. You want to make sure he wasn't
I want to make sure.
a scoundrel.
So then I would,
are you sorry?
my
Are
mother
you
says,
sorry, Mary?
my mother says, well, she went with us a few times. She picked up my cousins, Gloria and Rose Souza. And we used to go to the dances. And my mother went a few times, and then she says, you take the car, go pick up the girls, go to the dance, take one girl back and bring one with you home. So I wasn't alone at night on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So So then the dances were all done, so then he could run in, let's go to a movie.
What?
I said, the dances were all done. Then you just said, you come and said, well, I'm gonna go to a movie, can I pick you up for a movie? So by then I knew he was maybe a little serious.
I was, wasn't
So I says, yeah, I'll go to the movies.
She's not sorry.
I? She knows she made the right choice.
She made the right choice, huh? Yeah, I think she did too. Okay, well,
Yeah,
happy
but-
birthday. You have another story, Mom?
No, I better not say anymore.
You can say whatever you want to say.